grades of the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. You make this parade a mere charade if you're marching just for fun. Our troops must feel your thanks for real before the marching is done. They know side by side you can match their stride to the drum beat and the brass, but they're not impressed with you unless you can match their stride in class. This may not sound too diplomatic, but I cannot be more emphatic as I tell you, it's problematic when you do less than your best, especially when it's because you put your brilliance on pause for the mere peer applause it draws from a so-called friend doing less. Quit playing, I'm saying, you know that you are great, and we know it, so show it. Don't make our heroes wait. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. For those of you who already do the things that make us proud, your nation in appreciation says thanks to you out loud. Your schoolmates should imitate the way you tap your potential. Let me try to convince them why their effort is essential. Our men and women in uniform, before, during, and after Desert Storm, always perform above the norm, anywhere and everywhere on the planet. They need to follow our heroes' lead, but they cannot lead if they cannot read. Allow me, please, to plant this seed. Don't take freedom for granted. I'm serious, I'm furious to see U.S. schools behind. Remove the clatter, it's just a matter of our making up our minds. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. We believe in you, warriors, protect you to do what you must to rise. Please do your part. Please start before another warrior dies. In this parade, please wave your grades at the brave who fight for you. If you don't gain, they fight in vain. Show them what you can do. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. They sacrifice for you. Show them what you can do. Please show them what you can do. Please.
Good afternoon and welcome to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org, the academic patriotism program that is dedicated to veterans and serious secondary scholars. I am your announcer, KUAW Wilson. Now, here is our host, civilian urban educator, Carl Boyd.
Thank you so very, very much, KUAW Wilson, producer, engineer, announcer, and co-host. And today is the first Saturday for the Wave Your Grades program, which means I get an opportunity to say welcome and thank you for being here to Attorney Valencia Broadus. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mr. Boyd. It's always great to see you.
It is good to see you.
It's good to be here. To everybody. Hello, y'all.
Representing our young people as we get ready for a formal kickoff to the 2023-2024 school year next Saturday. And in preparation for the formal kickoff, let me just say that you have been working with young people for a while. So I have a few questions for you, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind.
And unless you want to begin another way.
Okay.
I
do not mind.
Now, this is something that I've never asked before, and it's just out of my own curiosity. I always say Attorney Valencia Broadus. Now, as far as nomenclature and terminology are concerned, what is the difference between being a lawyer and being an attorney? Is it analogous to being a doctor and a physician, or how would you characterize it?
Okay, so that's a really good question. I just laugh because everyone who graduates from law school
Okay.
is a lawyer.
Okay.
Everyone. if you graduate from law school
Yes.
and get a diploma that
Yes.
says you went through the 3 years or whatever, of that law
Abs-
school, you're a lawyer. But only lawyers that take and pass the bar exam
Okay. Okay.
are attorneys.
Thank you very much. Now, interestingly enough, as simple as that sounded, I'm 81 years old, and in all my 81 years, it's the first time that I've heard that explanation. Now, attorney Valencia Broadus, what kind of law do you practice?
I do real estate planning, and probate. And I also end up doing a lot of like small traffic stuff for my clients and their kids
Yeah.
and families,
Yeah.
and for a lot of my students. I just laugh because people are like, so how does traffic get into all that? And it's normally just because a lot of people, oh, okay, you're an attorney, you do traffic. They just assume you do. So I never started, But anyway, I'm full of laughs today
Well,
because everything is kind of funny.
I've never characterized it before, and believe it or not, DeQuay Wilson, I never thought of this until now. And you know that I like to do analogies. And DeQuay Wilson is a peach. And I didn't think of it until today, our producer, engineer, and co-host. So, producer, engineer, and co-host, please jump in, because
Absolutely.
this is just a kind of free-flowing conversation
Absolutely.
as we get ready for something more formal next week. So please jump right on in. And one of the reasons that I was asking you the kind of law you practice, the kinds of things you're doing, is because many people are loyal to First Saturdays and wonder, as do I, perhaps as do we, how does Attorney Valencia Broadus get so involved for so long with young people in the way that you do? Doesn't necessarily have anything directly to do with being an attorney,
It's
but your
true.
dedication is exemplary. Please.
So, years, many years
Cannot
ago.
be that many.
It really was many years ago. Um, when I was 14, I got
Okay.
in juvenile trouble. And in getting into this juvenile trouble, I could have easily went away to prison for life.
Oh, now that is really serious.
It's really serious. And so what happened though, and I won't go into a lot of details about the what and all that, except that it's deeply important that what I did do
Hmm.
was in self-defense, but it also what a lot of young people do when they're not getting attention and care and people watching them and monitoring them, they act out. And so back then, we didn't have like gun violence and those almost 40 years ago. Yeah, it's been over 40 years ago. But we, I was bullied a lot, so I fought. So I
Sure.
carried little weapons and I had to fight
Sure.
a lot, and so I ended up really injuring someone. It was self-defense. But what happened is the court system, when I had to be detained and all that stuff, and they took my daughter away because I was a young mom at that time. And so, but the court system, once they saw this awesome, wonderful, joyful, because I've always been the same joyful person, they're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
something's wrong. Something's wrong with this picture. You don't
This
fit the
is
profile.
Important.
It was really interesting. And so I did, I got in trouble and all that stuff and had to, go through probation, like every young person should
Sure.
do something bad. I
Okay.
mean, and I did. But they were trying to figure out, though, but how did you get here
Hmm.
based off of what they saw?
Yes.
My
Demeanor.
my defense mechanisms.
Oh.
I would laugh a lot, and I was
Yeah.
always, my personality. It's just something.
Yep.
So anyway, so they figured out
Yep.
through all of that there were things going on at home,
Okay.
and so from that I got a probation officer. The Columbia court system saved my life.
Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia, Missouri court
Okay.
system, the juvenile court system. And I know that it sounds crazy, but through that process, I got a second family. I got to really, people started encouraging me, and not that my parents, they weren't bad. They did the best they could based on what they knew.
Okay.
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 I want to make sure we say that too. But things were kind of, things were kind of crazy. So I was basically in the court system, and I had to meet with my juvenile officer every week. We ate every week together, me and the other young people.
Yes.
That was my juvenile officer's caseload. He talked to us. He asked us what
Okay.
we want to do, and we made sure we went to school. He made sure that we were doing our work. We had to.
This is so
we
good.
had to work for real, and the businesses all around the community, a part of our probation, as these young people, we had to work. And so my first job at 14 was I was cleaning those nasty apartments at Mizzou. But all the employers around the city, they participated
Okay.
in helping
Hmm.
the young people to have different experiences. And so my career experiences through this work program that I had to do as part of me being under the supervision, I worked for a construction company. I worked for an architect,
Okay.
construction company, and an architect. Those are those two. And then from there, I went to other work programs.
Yes.
First, I cleaned the stuff at Mizzou. That was my first one. I had to clean. You had to get dirty and scrub. It's part of, anyway, kind of the break and build. But then they put me in with, architects, construction people.
Yes.
I didn't know what any of that was.
Yes.
But moved that years later. So, anyway, that's a long story, y'all. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. This is very
But-
interesting.
So then I was going to be released. And I had been on for, I think, a year and a half, almost 2 years, and they were going to release me. It was not good for me to go back home.
Okay.
So the court emancipated me. They made me an adult.
Oh, is that right?
They made me an adult to take care of myself because it was
Oh, I see.
not good, based on things that were going on, for me to be back into that playground, So when they emancipated me, I'm like, okay, but now what? Now what do I do? I didn't know what to do because I'm like 15 and a half, 16 years old.
Yes.
So I didn't know what to do, and so I cried. I
Sure.
cried in the courtroom,
Yeah.
and they gave me another
Yeah.
year probation, and I was happy.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I'm like,
Okay.
release me to
To
go
what?
do what?
Yeah.
Now what do I do? So when you think about that, for a
Wow.
lot of people coming out of incarceration, all that, so they kept me. And it's a funny story that we tell. I still see my juvenile officer, and I go around the country and I talk and do stuff. We have juvenile justice systems. That's why I'm so involved with also the juvenile justice system here, because I just know there's a bunch of me's in there.
This is.
So that's the reason I'm so involved.
DeQuay wants to say something.
Go
Let me
ahead.
let you before I go ahead.
I'm just listening to her story, and it makes me think about how the ideological premise behind the court system actually worked for you.
did.
In the rehabilitation sense.
Yes.
I think about other children or youth who get caught up in the court system who do not have that experience. But then also you have to consider how you were motivated to play a role in your rehabilitation,
Yes.
in your and how that worked for you, because there's so many youth that are in the system, and their story, they don't have a story. And
I'm going to jump in there for
because I don't want to
purpose.
say too much.
No, it's okay, but
no.
I want to say this. It's real important. My juvenile officer wasn't just doing his job. He was a mentor. And that's why the mentoring part is really crucial. We can do our jobs in any system, teachers or anything, but if the person that is responsible for the development of young people, if they also don't have a mentoring heart, which is different,
This is so
it's
good.
really different.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why I do, career-based I'm a career coach on purpose because they career coached me. That's why that's funny.
This is interesting.
Because
Yes.
when you think about, they always said they put me with these
Yes.
businesses. I saw these construction people. I saw people happy working. I saw families
Yes, ma'am.
because they own their business. It was really
Yes,
interesting
ma'am.
piece. So even when I went through undergrad, my youth officer, I never knew about college and stuff. No one told me about any of this. They told me that you should go to college. And then I went to these other work
Wow.
programs, and they said, you're smart. You should really go to college. And then, like a FEC, I said this summer work program,
Wow.
I was working, and the lady, they were college students. They took me on campus, and she was a Sigma sweetheart, and I got to meet the Sigmas, and so I got to see stuff. Like, oh my God, I want to do this,
That is so interesting. And by the way,
Sorry.
kudos to Sigma Gamma Rho sorority.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, one of the people whom we admire is Anna Butler Stubblefield, who became the superintendent of schools, Kansas City, Kansas, who was with in high school. Sigma Gamma Rho sorority
Yes.
mentored her and were.
She was a roarer.
Okay, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. And what I wanted to say to DeQuay Wilson and Valencia Broadus was that I have had the honor, the opportunity to work with Synergy Services and the Youth Resiliency Center. The young people are between the ages of 12 and 20. And one of the things I say to them is that I get an opportunity to hear from you what I talk about, you have actually experienced. So my group sessions are titled, Teach Me You. At my age, how do I communicate with someone your age? Today is Saturday, August 5th, 2023, and I am in the presence of two who understand from what you know, not from what you heard. That is a blessing for this afternoon, and please feel free to talk to each other because I'm learning with every statement. Were you getting ready to say something else?
No, you're good. You're good.
Let me know.
No, because I really don't want to go into details. A lot of things
Sure.
that I'm not prepared to share on air, at least not at this
Exactly.
time. But I listen to your story and I look at and I see how it kind of resembles. It doesn't mirror, but it kind of resembles. But so when I was in the court system, I didn't have what you have. However, my stint at Synergy, I had people there
Yes.
who took time out
Oh, is that right?
to show me things
Praise
and
God.
talk to me about things and made that investment
That's what I mean.
in me,
You see.
which allows me to be who I am today. And I just
Yes.
today's conversation really, I don't know,
It's good.
it really is good, and because I can relate to it from a place, like you just said, been there, experience.
Yes, ma'am.
And I can relate to so much of what you're saying, but at the same time, realizing how the additional benefit that you had from the court could, it works. I mean, you're proof that it can work. You're proof that it can work. And oftentimes we look at the court system as a way of hindering or holding back, especially our people. And to hear someone say today, sit here today in my presence, in my face, like I can literally reach over and touch you, about how the court system worked for you. You know, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say the court saved me, you know, and that's a powerful message. But you also did the work and was open to what was offered to you. And I don't
Ooh,
know.
and by the
here's why I'm
way,
gonna sit
let
back
me
and
just say
listen.
this very quickly.
No, good. That's good. Thank you.
Let us never forget that DeQuay Wilson and I met because she was doing the work. So let us never
Yes.
forget that you are part of the work that is not just rehabilitated, but is exemplary. But please go ahead with what you were getting ready to say.
No, thank you. And I forgot what I was gonna say, but it's gonna come back because
I know it is.
I think about that investment, that mentoring piece. especially as our kids are about to go back to school.
Yes.
Because they're going through so many things, and I think most kids, I was gonna say, most kids will do the work if you help them to see the relevance to their survival if they want to survive. I mean, it's a different piece.
Isn't that
It's a different piece, and so it's I didn't care what the court knew until I knew they cared. And that went back to my juvenile officer spending that time. And that's the reason we're always doing eating with the kids. That's why I do the career kitchen.
Yes.
Because he ate with us. And food bring everybody. But every week we had these meetings with our probation officer. I mean, you got to remember, that's what his role was. But he would sit down, and you have those comfortable, probably at Center, y'all have comfortable rooms with chairs
Yes.
and all. We'd sit down, and
Yes.
Kirk was just cool. He is cool. So, which I've been up to this week. I mean, it was really that, and we're all talking, we're talking to each other.
That's it.
And we're eating. And I'll be honest, as a teen mom at that time, you don't have a lot, and I was hungry sometimes.
Sure.
And we've got to remember,
Sure.
food is important.
And what DeQuay made me think of and moving me forward was, as you look and maybe compare or contrast the quote system unquote today versus the positive experience that you had. Are we doing our job as far as something called the justice system is concerned?
Yes. I think we are today,
Okay.
especially here in Jackson County, Missouri.
Okay.
The
Okay.
what I know most about the court system is my work with as a volunteer of over 15 years under Miss Sonia Potter. And the reason I mention her is because she recruits volunteers and she helps recruit mentors to basically be what those job sites were to me. And so Mr. Kirk Kipley's his name. He was the person, he was my officer, but he got the community involved really through, back then, the work sites. So we basically had mentors every day we went to work.
Now,
So
are we talking about Columbia, or are
so
we
we're talking about Columbia,
Okay.
but I mentioned that because here, Jackson County, our Jackson County family court system, which
Okay.
works with the juveniles, younger,
Yes.
they have a really awesome mentoring system where they match every young person with a mentor if they want it. But also, we volunteer and we go into the where the kids live, residential, but also into detention and community churches. We go in and we can do programs with them and talk with them so that they see us.
Now, I mentioned.
It's really a lot better, but it's also about they have programs where they connect parents, Love Without Limits, so that they're doing a whole
Wow.
lot more to educate, rehabilitate, reunification of families in heart and spirit, not just like where they live. So,
Mhm.
we'll see Miss Potter on one day. Don't worry about it. But
Okay. One of the things that we need to do on an ongoing basis is keep people informed as to how they might contact you for what you do. But before you even give the contact, there may be someone who has not heard the kinds of things that you do with young people their ages, and whether or not someone listening or watching can take advantage of whatever services are available to them. How would you describe that, and then how would they contact the right
Okay.
person?
So the SMART Career Club, SMART stands for Students Motivated to Achieve and Resist Truancy. And so that's the SMART piece. And that's where Brother Doc Bass and I years ago
Yes.
talking about the SMART Club and all that.
That's so good.
And so with the SMART Career Club, we just help young leaders to catch a dream and make it grow. And what we believe is that if we can meet young people where they are
Yes.
and begin to ask them seriously, what do you think you want to be when you grow up? What do you think you want to be? And we ask them every time.
Yes.
We say that we always make them
Yes.
say whatever they think they want to be. And then from there, we help them to really figure out what that thing is. So we do a lot of career exploration, career education. really helping them to have career experiences. And so we do that a lot. And then we do a lot of mentoring, of course, but we
Yes.
also do project-based learning through event planning. So we're always doing events. Wherever we can, we're going to do an event so that we work together all the time. So
Yes.
that we're teaching them how to work together, how to plan, how to read, write, critical think, and speak. And so that way, when they're really ready to start, whether it's in high school especially or in college, to practice, go to school for that dream,
Yes.
we've also, through osmosis, built their academic skills.
Yeah, see, and that is so very critical. That is absolutely critical. As a matter of fact, oftentimes if I go to work with schools, if I have some kind of idea, whatever it might be, if you talk to an administrator with the district, primarily the superintendent of schools, but then all administrators, the first question they ask is, does it positively impact academics? So they don't mind something that is recreational. They don't mind something that is vocational. They don't mind something that is after school, before what, all of that. But number one, does it positively impact academics? And by the way, Valencia Broadus would have us to know that things, quote, non-academic, unquote, can have a positive impact
Absolutely.
on academics.
Yes.
And that is so important. So one of the things I wanted to ask before you tell people how to contact you
sorry.
is this. You mentioned that you would ask the young people what they want to do, what they're interested in. But somebody's parent, somebody's mentor might be in a quandary because their young person hasn't decided yet what they want to do. Is it all right for them to call as well?
Oh, absolutely. 80% of the students we talk to have no idea what they
There
want to
you
do.
go.
They
Thank
have
you.
no idea.
Thank
And
you.
so that's why we do career exploration. Because then we help them to do the radio show, or as we do the events, we always invite the public, their different careers, in to meet them.
Yes.
And so if you hang out
Yes.
with me long enough,
Come on.
and if I meet you and you like me and I'm positive, you're going to say, Miss V, what do you do besides helping us? I mean, that's what do you
Exactly.
do? Oh, I'm a lawyer. What's that? I mean, and it
Exactly.
just goes on and on. And the reason that's important, that piece right there, I'll go back to my story a little bit, is that when I decided that, my people said, what do you want to be? Kirk would ask us. I want to be a judge
Mhm.
because the judge saved me. So that's
Yes.
who back then. I never knew that to be a judge, I had to be a lawyer.
Okay.
I mean, no one ever told me.
Okay, good point.
I didn't know.
Good point.
So I said, I want to be a judge. That's great. Be a judge. I'm going to be a judge. Be a judge. So finally, the young lady in that summer work program when I was 16 that took me to the college, she said, now you you got to be a lawyer first to be a judge. But you're going to be a good judge.
You're right.
So she didn't damper what I was thinking.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I said, oh, what's that? Because even though I had a lawyer, I didn't
Sure.
understand the rules of the court.
Absolutely.
I just knew about Kirk.
Absolutely.
So from there, I figured out what I got to do to be a lawyer. You got to go to undergrad, blah, blah, blah. You got to think and write. Okay, I'm a good thinker, writer. Because she helped me to see that. And then from there, I just kept going to school, and then I went to law school. Now, I don't want to be a judge right now or anything anymore, because that's not important to me anymore.
Okay.
But
Okay. Okay. Yes,
so that's why
ma'am.
the career coaching is important. Because most of us, we don't know.
You have.
We have no idea what we want to be.
And by the way, please let us know how we can contact you,
Oh.
or are you the person who should be contacted, or do you have other contact
No,
information?
they can contact me. You can contact me 816-612-1083 and just send a text and say, I'm interested in the
There you
Smart
go.
Career Club, and then we will have someone else to contact you back. But if you just send me a text, put your name if you will. Someone texted me one time and they didn't leave a name, so I couldn't. We
Exactly.
didn't know who they were. So
Exactly.
we weren't sure. But if you said, I'm interested in the Smart Career Club, we have something, I'll respond. Someone, they'll text you and ask you for your email. They'll send you a description and how you or your young person can get engaged, to become part of the club, and there's no fee to be a part of the club.
Thank you.
They come, and wherever we are, libraries, radio station, they can just come be a part, and
Yes.
we integrate them in. And then parents or community people, they can volunteer. We always need
That's good.
workplace stations for our young people. So if it's a construction company, we maybe can come help you build something or plant something.
See, I
or
love
we
that.
can come and clean. We do cleanups, but we do it all together, and we say this is our next work assignment. That makes them have to. We got to get a plan. Everybody has to get their assignments, and so we just work and play and make things happen, and then they feel accomplished.
Now,
You know.
before DeQuay Wilson takes us to our break,
Okay.
and we announce 816-612-1083. Attorney Valencia brought us. I have something of a rhetorical question to ask.
Okay.
How many times has a young person expressed an interest and talked to you, and you had to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you. Call somebody else"? How many?
Oh, never.
Believe
That would
me.
be terrible. We've been doing this for about 23 years.
Thank you very much.
And the reason is
Thank you.
kids,
it-
they face rejection.
Come
and all
on.
that so much. We gotta figure it out.
Thank you.
Because if they're asking you,
Yes.
they want
Yes.
something. They really want
Absolutely.
something. And turning them away, that could be something
And,
so bad.
and you see, and
For
when
them.
that happens, you don't just turn them away for this time. Now
Yeah.
they're not going to ask the next
Right.
time. Then you're turning away their peers whom they tell about the negative experience. So that in all the time, when I think about how long we've known each other, and she mentioned Doc Bass, the relevance of intelligence,
Yes.
I always
Yes,
quote
yes.
his phrase. But in all the time that we have known each other, not only have you talked about those whom you have received, but once in a while they surprise themselves because they didn't know that the aptitude that they had was about being an attorney or about working in construction or whatever it might be. So you just don't know how important, as much as you know what you do is important. I don't think you know how important it is for so many people who are positively impacted beyond just the direct touch. But let's come back to it after we hear from our
Mr. Quay,
producer, engineer, and co-host, our announcer, DeQuay Wilson.
Well, it is time to remind our 7th and 8th grade students that you can win a monetary award from our sponsoring organization. And yes, we do say organization on purpose, that is with purpose. Students for Boots. Your essay will be titled, Heroes You Know You Did Not Know Were Heroes. Your content will identify a veteran at your school. That veteran can be absolutely anyone, a teacher, custodian, administrator, bus driver, absolutely anyone. If your essay is chosen and submitted by an adult who gives you permission to read it on this Waive Your Grades program, you will be awarded a monetary prize. Please send your inquiry or entry to stootsforboots@gmail.com. That is STOOTSFORBOOTS@gmail.com. Stootsforboots@gmail.com. Now back to our host, Carl Boyd.
You said something in the announcement that a person submitting the essay would be sponsored by someone who would give them permission to submit the essay. And we are now providing monetary awards. We need to make it retroactive. We are blessed today to have in studio Attorney Valencia Broadus, who happened to sponsor Serious Shields, who read Heroes You Know You Didn't Know Were Heroes, and we need to use that as the exemplary essay. So we're going to make that retroactive and during the month of August.
Oh,
So-
Miss Syria would love that.
And but here, excuse me. But here again, young people learn by example more than by instruction, and the young people with whom you work are so exemplary. Let me ask this about announcements and calendar. is there a particular time of the year or school year when they should call? Is something coming up they should know about? How does that work?
So we are a year-round career club, and the biggest things that we do, well, ACT prep is important again. So I just want to mention that. And so a big part, we get a lot of our career clubbers as sometimes their parents are learning what school they want to go to and stuff.
Yes. Okay.
And so the ACT prep is important. So we do that year round. So if people are interested in that, there is a cost for that, but ACT prep is important because that's going to help your young person to get in and get scholarships to school they want. So but the dates I don't have at this moment, so I
Okay.
apologize.
No, that's all
about
right.
that.
But they can call you year round.
Yeah, they can call year round, for that, and I'll bring that maybe next time. The other thing that we always do is every semester we start our work projects. So
Yeah.
we always plan a big gala or event, to where our award ceremony. So we always want young people to come in and be a part of that because it's fun to plan it. They get to help us to find the location, make the menu, cook the food, do sponsors. So it's really a fun time to get together, and we get to we go out to the main event and we go bowling and all that type of stuff.
Okay, see, this
during
is
the
so
whole
good.
time.
Yeah.
So we don't just work; we play too. We try to make sure that they're able to again remember those weekly meetings I talked about. And so you still have to get them just together as much as we can just to have fun. We work too, but then we try to go out and have fun all around the community so we can learn to be together, learn to be out in the community and act appropriately. I mean, we have to practice all these things
Yes.
because then when they don't, then we get mad. So we go out and we all goof and mess up sometimes, but we get to
Sure.
in love correct each other and remember that the team represents. It's really a really fun year. Normally during the summer we always have a big summer career kitchen work site where the students really do. We work in a kitchen, and this year we were the culinary team for Freedom School, and it was
Yes.
amazing. And
Yes.
our De La Salle students, they received stipends from their school to work, and so we also work with FEC to receive stipends. So it
Mhm.
depends on what young people we have and who their sponsors are. So we're the work site. And so we basically come in and we teach them to cook and all of that and serve people, and they get compensated for that. So during the year, they're training for that a little, and most of them want a summer job. So we make sure that they have a summer job somewhere getting paid, and we create projects so that we can do it with them.
From your perspective, how did Freedom School go this year?
Freedom School, the kids, I had several parents that worked with us,
Yes.
like Miss Breed, Paris, and Miss Tanisha.
Yeah.
Their kids love Freedom School, and we were there all the time anyway. You know?
Yes.
And the kids, Harambe was amazing off the chain every morning. It was
Mhm.
great. The kids said the food was good most time. So sometimes they were like, we want something else, and that was
Hey,
okay.
but that's good that was okay.
Absolutely, it
Yeah.
is, because they would talk to us. So we were
Sure.
always trying to teach our young leaders that were the kitchen crew to look at the young people, say hi to them, ask them how their day is. So we were doing the customer service training all the time. Talk to them, say hi, smile.
Okay. All
So,
right.
It was really, really, really good.
That's good.
And our parents are looking forward to doing it again next year. So that's, I guess, the real proof in the pudding.
Yes.
They're like, we can't wait till next year. The parents, not just the kids, the parents do. So
I am curious, just personal curiosity.
Yes.
Do you hear from what I might refer to as Smart Club alumni? Do you get an opportunity to
Yes.
communicate, correspond?
Yes, they do. We normally have them to come in, whether via in person or via Zoom,
Yeah.
each week.
Yeah.
We have someone come in and talk to the students. And we're mainly asking
really?
our alumni to tell our current students
Okay.
what they're doing. So, what are you guys doing? Do y'all need help with anything? We don't just question the students because we always want our alumni to give back in some way. And the best way they can give back is to talk to these students, be just kind of, remote mentors, or come in. Like we had a couple of people, they came in and they cooked with us, like Syria. She came in and cooked with us over the summer.
Yeah.
Just being in the kitchen with us, cooking and just hanging out. And, they're like, who are you?
Who
So
was
she-
Heaven with when she came into the studio? And but anyway, please
Yes.
go ahead.
Trying to think.
And
Miss Breed, no. But I remember she came.
Yeah,
Probably Miss
yeah.
Paris.
I think it was Miss Paris.
Miss Paris.
I guess that's right. I
Yes.
guess yes,
So
absolutely.
Miss Heaven always participates in all of our fundraisers because she does the marketing for us. So we also try to use the services of our young people that are alumni. Because normally some of them are college, some aren't. They could be trade school or military. But we try to, if we need something and we can hire them for that,
Mhm.
we do that.
Mhm.
Because again, it's we try to participate in your development for you to be whatever you want to be. So then we want to also say, great, you're great enough for us to pay you. Otherwise, if not, then do we really believe in them? Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But
Okay.
we try to get them to come back, and yes. So we see them, they talk to us, they tell them, do this, do that. You got to really work.
I just want to find. I'm sorry, DeQuay, did you have something? I just want to find out from Attorney Valencia Broadus in August of 2023 whether or not you have had an experience with someone using the term in the real world. Now, what I mean by that, putting it in context, is you have a bevy. The athletes got into I guess about seven years or so of using plethora, a plethora of opportunities for someone to tell you how bad things are. And 2023, the kinds of things that are going on around our young people, and you're talking about the food that they eat and the presentations folks make and all of that, and then they look you right in the eye and they say, but do you ever tell them about the real world? Don't we need to know that this is a part of their real world, and how do you greet those kinds of sometimes skeptical observations?
Yes. The skeptical observations, interestingly, come from the students themselves.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
And so, depending on their living situations or
Sure.
relationship situations and stuff like that, depending on what they've got going on when they leave us, they'll come back. And it could be that morning, we don't know what they've gone through. They can come back in and, I'm on my happy-go-lucky self.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, come on. Oh, this is bootsy. This ain't even a real world. This ain't real stuff. I got this going. I mean, they'll tell you. And so that's an opportunity for a conversation,
Okay.
which is beautiful because we're there and they trust us enough to
Absolutely.
come back, first of all. Because
Absolutely.
they don't have to come back. It's voluntary. They don't have to, even if they're getting paid, they can. I mean, it's their, but they come back, and even when they're having a bad day, and they'll come back, and they'll mope and they'll be gripey, but then we get to say, well, what's going on?
Yes.
I mean, what's been happening?
Yes.
I mean, and so from that, they're telling us their real world, and this is cool. But then, when I go home, I got to blah 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 blah. So then we can talk them through, but giving them the tips, and the thoughts of how to handle it when they go home or with their friends, or, they're in relationships,
Yes.
or, they're in relationships, the young people are. So we get to talk to them about it, about hurting themselves sometimes or
Mhm.
not. We get
Mhm.
to talk about these things with them, and we get to share our stories
Yes.
about our real world. If it comes up, we don't just tell them things that aren't relevant to what they're going through at that moment. So.
I am blessed this afternoon to be speaking with Attorney Valencia Broadus. You mentioned Paris Holly. We talked about Heaven. We talked about Syria Shields. And there was a mom here in the studio with her offspring. And so far, I count 5 females. And often in our culture, we are concerned not just, by the way, for young males, but young females as well, seeing positive male figures.
Yes.
How do you assess what you are doing against that need?
So this summer, just for example, we had Mr. Micah, I think Micah's been on Zoom with us. So, but we've had Mr. Micah, Mr. Xavier, Mr. Ricky, with three.
Financial expert.
Yes, Mr. Ross.
Yes.
Oh no, Mr. Kevon. You know Mr. Kevon. Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we actually have normally a really good mix of the males.
Yes.
You know, really a good breakdown.
Yes.
Well, not breakdown, but a good proportion, male to female. I think that with our males, when we have our male mentors that come around a lot,
Yes.
then it's easier for them to gravitate towards that. Like
Mhm.
Mr. Alfred, Mr. Brian Ross, and Mr. Versey. There's when our males come around and do more, then the males are more attentive.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
what we've learned.
Okay.
They'll do the event planning. The young men, they'll do pretty much all of whatever we're doing, but in regards to kind of the chilling and talking to us, depends on what it is, and they're more likely to talk to the males. Over the summer, our young men, luckily, because Freedom School, most of the interns were male. I mean, they had a lot of male
Oh,
interns,
okay,
which
okay.
was really,
Yes.
really great.
Yes.
And a lot of guys were around.
Yes.
So, and a lot of the parents that came, because as you know, with Freedom School during the mornings, of course, all the kids are there,
Yes.
interns are there, but also parents come, and it's so amazing that there's so many males that were around volunteering, helping Freedom School.
Yes, and you know what?
It was-
I really
it was
enjoyed the
great.
Knoxville experience in
Yes.
preparation for Freedom School and going to Knoxville and seeing all of the
Absolutely.
young men and young women from HBCUs
Yes,
and
yes,
all of
yes.
that. And it was so funny. I'll tell you a very quick story. I happened to be in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was speaking to teachers. It was 7:45 in the morning, and they had an Harambe opening, and I looked, and where am I? Because it had been done in Knoxville, and there just happened to be a young lady there I had met in Knoxville. But
Absolutely.
it is really, really, it's exciting, it's enjoyable. Here's a question that I have for you as it relates to adults.
Yes.
I mentioned, quote, the real world, unquote, and you said that those young people are the ones who will talk about that. Do you ever have to talk to adults about the fact that these young people are a lot more in touch than we think they are?
Yeah.
And how do you help us, those of us who are older, to understand that these young people are not illiterate as it relates to life?
Yes, we do. The interesting thing I think about sometimes career professionals is if you don't work with young people a lot, you come into a room of high schoolers and you have an expectation, is what I've seen. There's an expectation that these young people are going to be and talk and think like you.
Okay.
And so, and then when they don't, it's like, well, they ain't serious. They're not really about this. I'm like, well, no, they're kids. You know, they don't get it. And like when you come into a room, and sometimes if I'm not exciting enough, I just be honest with you. If I, the presenter, aren't exciting enough,
Yeah,
you don't have their attention,
that's right.
and so they're gonna be talking on the phone, and then we get upset.
Right.
We do, and so we work on that all the time. But we
Yeah.
get upset. And again, it looks like they're not serious, and you know they ain't ready for the real world. You know, I wouldn't hire you. We've had people come in and say things
Sure.
like that to
Sure.
them, and they are respectful enough always. They don't like talk back and say, "Well, I don't care anyway." I mean, they don't do nothing like that.
Oh,
They
no.
just kind of look, and then we talk to them about it later. But then I have to tell those adults later. I thank them, of course, and just share, because then they'll share their complaints.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they weren't interested in what I had to say.
Ooh.
Sometimes it was too high of a level.
Yes.
So I try to help volunteers
Good
and
point.
mentors to understand
Thank you.
who they are. And
Thank you.
sometimes the schooling they may or not be getting that
Yeah.
would bring them to your level at
Absolutely.
this age. So you have to educate the public a lot on they're not ready just to go in and plan the event or to go in and just do it. We're training them.
I'll tell you a reality that my generation and some a little younger than I are not ready to face in the 2020s. Attention spans. We expect, because Mrs. Montgomery in room 342 when I was in Chicago in 8th grade would command and demand that we are eye contact and you listen to us, and if we did not have an interest, we had to act like it for several minutes at a time. Do you know what has surprised me of late? The number of young people whose attention spans seem so short and look up and tell you exactly what you said. That has surprised me. And I find that I have to make some adjustments, and I want to advise them, for instance, how to get a job, and you need to act like you're paying attention and all of that. But don't write off our young people.
That's right. Teach them, train them, come in and practice with them, because
Thank you.
again, you keep coming back, and I know you know, but the more we keep coming back and kind of give a little bit of critique, oh, hey, you really shouldn't do that. I mean, just give me 5 minutes. I mean, five strong minutes, you know, and if they like you, they want to, I don't want to use the word please you, they want you to be proud of them. They
Yes.
want you to say,
Yeah.
y'all did wonderful, as if they like you.
Good
So
point.
so you got to build a relationship. I mean,
Good
that's where
point.
they are now. It's like,
Yes.
you respect me, I respect you. It's not even respect. It's not that sometimes. It's really about, I have a relationship with you that I enjoy, and therefore I will act accordingly of how you want me to act while I'm around you.
Thank you to KUAW for, as a matter of fact, agreeing with that. And, by the way, Attorney Valencia brought us would have you to know, adult person working with young people, being nice and enjoying them does not mean changing your personality.
That's right.
They can spot a phony just like they can spot somebody
right.
who's not interested. So don't change who you are. Change your attitude towards those with whom you work,
Yes.
and be able as an adult to learn as you would like for them to learn from you. So you don't have to be phony and coming grinning.
Absolutely.
No. Be yourself. But another thing is, not only should you perhaps be more congenial, but why not try to remember when I was 14? Let me remember how perfect I was when I was a young person, because sometimes that helps as well. We're coming to the end
But
of
let us tell it. I'm just saying, because I hear it all the time. Well, when I was 14,
Yeah.
I'd have never talked back.
Yeah.
I'd have never. And they just hear it, they just like, then they start rolling their eyes. What you rolling your eyes for? I mean, it gets a little interesting sometimes.
Sure,
you know,
absolutely.
And it's like, okay.
And
so
we're
we got to
just-
teach us to work with these young people.
And we have to admit that we were just fortunate that nobody could do this in our day.
Right.
Check out what we were doing.
That's right.
I tell
Oh my
people,
gosh.
the older I get, the better I was.
Like-
the story just gets better and better every time I tell it.
You know, I just want to thank you for having this conversation with me today, because
Wow.
it allowed us to talk about mentoring and stuff like that, but also about the real need for us to try to do what we can. The young people around us, we don't have to, volunteer and do all that, but we all have young people around us somewhere, church or whatever. Ask them, if we could just
Ooh.
ask them, so, hey, first, how's your week been? But then also, so how's school been? Is that still hitting your career goal? We need to ask them about their career goals, whether they have them or not, because it gets them to thinking. And if you keep asking them, eventually they will have an answer.
Thank you. Thank
They'll
you.
have an answer. It ain't even got to be the answer.
Come
They can
on.
change it as often as they want to.
Ooh,
but
that's
once
so
a young
critical.
person catches an idea or a dream, once they catch it, and we can help them to hold on to it so tight to where they'll do whatever they can to make it happen. Yes, I'm going to be a doctor. But once they
Ooh.
catch it, then they will begin to act accordingly if they have good career exposure. I mean, once they understand
Praise
whatever they want to
God.
be, but they got to catch a dream, and then they will allow us to help them make it grow. But we got to ask them.
This is
So to
just.
everybody, just to catch some young people, just keep asking them.
You know what? You remind me of a Native American experience.
Yes.
Because I didn't know that little yarn that goes through the circle that you hang on the car
Oh.
is called a dream catcher. And this is a Native American dream catcher that suggests that you put both the negative and the positive in the dream catcher. And the negative slides through and the positive stays.
I like
And
that.
you were talking about
Dream
catching
catcher.
the
Yes,
dream.
catch it.
And thanking you so very much. We're near the end of the
Yay.
program. Any final words? Because that
How are
was
you doing?
fantastic, but I'll get better. God is good. And Wanda is getting better, and that means I'm getting better.
Oh,
And
amen.
I so appreciate our Peach, our producer,
Yes.
engineer, announcer, co-host, who always gives Wanda a greeting before I go. So I always have that to take home with me. I will turn it now back over to DeQuay Wilson.
I want to thank everyone for joining us on your Students for Boots Wave Your Grades program. We come to you live every Saturday from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center right here in Kansas City, Missouri. I am your announcer, DeQuay Wilson. Now our host, Carl Boyd, will close with Carl's commentary on academic patriotism and his daily message for students in honor of our veterans from his book, Morning Messages.
Carl's commentary on academic patriotism. Today, August 5th, 2023, is the first Saturday of the month. On first Saturdays, our Wave Your Grades tradition has become to hear from Attorney Valencia Broadus and the young people with whom she works on a number of fronts in a number of ways. My producer and announcer, DeQuay Wilson, and your KUAW founder, Mr. Lewis George Walker. Indeed, Attorney Broadus herself, are witnessing my reading of this commentary just as it was before I opened it for this reading. This is important because I trusted that her presence and presentation would allow me to pre-write the title of today's commentary. We can choose to dwell on good news. Through the Smart Club for decades, Freedom School for these days, and conscientious teens in between, Attorney Broadus has given us reason to feel optimistic about a nation in the hands of today's youth, and that's the truth. I was confident that again today we would hear positive reports. Seriously, we appreciate what you tell, and they are things on which we must dwell. Title again, we can choose to dwell on good news. Wave Your Grades will be announcing plans to use such examples as our first Saturday programs to tell and dwell on how we can, quote, youth-nite the nation through education, unquote. We can youth-nite the nation through education. Thank you, Attorney Broadus. Thank you, great youth and youth educators and mentors. My name is Carl Boyd. To students across the USA, your Students for Boots message for this day, August 5th. Troops see our students as the pride of our great nation when they see that you are serious about your education. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda, I'm on my way home.
Yay!